Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran, and today we are going to be looking at a report from Radio Free Liberty, Radio Europe, honoring the passing of make sure I get his name right, Volodymyr Zahov. He was a developer with the STALKER game who was killed outside of Bakhmut. And they do a good job of talking about his life, but I want to use this as a vehicle to talk about some other aspects of war itself. Let's get into it. Now, we've talked a little bit. Yeah, this can stay on the screen. We've talked a little bit about the strategic picture of Bakhmut, right? About the region of Ukraine that it occupies, about the fact that honestly, it doesn't make operational sense for Russia to try to seize it. It's meaningless. It had significance months ago when Russia controlled this northern part of the Seversky Donetsk. But now it isn't the hub to anywhere. Some news reports will tell you, oh, it's a vital transportation hub. But I would argue that it's probably not. It's a vital transportation hub for, regions that Russia already occupies. There's no reason to take it. And we've also talked about the fact that Ukrainian forces are happy to use this site to basically destroy Russia's combat power. And that is sort of the meta situation here. But it's worth noting, as you guys can see, up till today, Russia is continuing to throw troops at this. And artillery, and every day, right? We talk about these attacks in operational terms, and we talk about them because we have to, right? There's no other way. It's sort of like your doctor. If you need your doctor to treat like your cancer, you don't want them to be distracted by you. You want your medical issue to be a problem that they solve dispassionately. And that's how generals have to win wars. They can't consider the lives of every single person. But there's a danger in that necessity. And that is that we lose sight of the fact that human lives, these little icons represent hundreds of lives. And we happen to know this guy because we're internet people and we consume internet, and we know the Stalker game. But, he's just one example of, people, human beings that are defending their country in the case of Ukrainian forces and Russians who've been forcibly mobilized by their government and forced to fight each other. And every one of those icons produces a situation like this.
Справилися в гарячу точку під Бахмут. І оці 4 села – Клічіївка, Кордьонівка, Озарянівка, Андріївка, які постійно звідти привозять людей. На жаль, вже не живих. Це той нещасний квадрат, в якому ми донині. Там просто кепсько, окопатися особливо ніде, тому що земля дуже тверда. І хлопці...
I mean, right, he talks about the situation, right? It's hard to dig in, etc. But remember, when we see these, when I talk about these things, when we watch some of these videos, every one of those moments produces something like this, produces an entire family devastated. And it's really also important in the larger sense. And this was talked about in the First World War extensively, but less so in the subsequent wars that followed. And that is the idea that war is one of the ultimate opportunity costs, right? The truth is that if this war didn't happen, look at it in just the gaming industry, right? If this war didn't happen, he would be working on Stalker. It would be a potentially a great game. Maybe it would be released already. Maybe another game or project of his would be out that would be even better. It would make money. It would provide for his family. It would raise the Ukrainian standard of living, and it would deliver real value to us as consumers, right? And instead, right, we stopped all of those things. Really, Putin stopped all those things and decided to divert a huge portion of his economy and the lives of all these people who would have had otherwise productive lives. Remember, serving in the military, you're healthy. You're a healthy young adult, right? And you take those healthy young adults who have tremendous futures and who are obviously tremendously important to their families, and they're also tremendously important to an economy. And you take them and you waste them. Like, you just look, the fact that this dude was one of there's probably in the world, 10, maybe 20,000 devs that have that sort of experience. That didn't matter. He was digging ditches in Bakhmut. Like, what an economic waste for Ukraine. Obviously, they have no choice, right? This war was like foisted upon them. But this is why we sometimes forget. We don't think about the fact that wars are so insanely costly, because they cost the lives, they cost the years of productivity that would otherwise go to better uses. Like this guy, at the end of the day, it would be better for Ukraine's economy, for the world economy, for the gaming space, for his family, if he was able to just work on Stalker and other games, right? And the problem is that not only did he not be able to work on what he currently was on, but the rest of his life, right? In 20 years from now, he'd be a dev with 30 years of experience, something invaluable. And Ukraine is deprived of that. On top of, again, his wife, his kids, you know?
Працюють для того, щоб окопатися не лопатками, а сокирами.
Я пришел на стратегии, а он еще и сталкер делал. StarCraft все вместе играли. У нас была команда киевская по StarCraft. Мы часто с ним встречались на разного рода киберспортивных мероприятиях. Вот. И, собственно, тогда уже StarCraft шел на убыль, и многие люди так уже редко приходили на подобного рода мероприятия. Но тут произошло событие. Разработчик киевский, GSK Game World, они искали себе тестировщиков для своих игр. Вот. И они приглашали киберспортсменов. И вот так вот Фреш, я, еще много-много ребят попало на свою первую работу.
Він безмежно любив Україну. Я знала ще до початку війни.
Yeah, I mean, this is what makes it so just pointless, man. And this is, I don't mean the Ukraine conflict, right? Though this obviously there's no reason for Russia to have instigated this. But war in general. I mean, look, this exact scene played out thousands of times for US troops over the past 20 years. And that often gets ignored, even though, again, it's the same thing, the same level of tragedy and the same level of, I hate to say it, pointlessness, right? We went through 20 years of conflict and we basically returned to the status quo in Afghanistan, certainly. And, you know, the tragedy will be that if Ukraine is able to achieve victory, that victory will be a return to the status quo. And that is just like, there's obviously the nobility in fighting for your country. but the frustration and futility of war is hard to understate. And I wanted to do this video because I want you guys to understand that we talk about the strategic picture, but that war only costs. It provides no economic value. It provides no personal or moral value or redemption. It's only a bad for society.
Що він піде на фронт, я знала, що він поїде. Я готувалася до цього, але до цього неможливо бути готовим. Він завжди казав, що він створює нові світи. Він був геймдизайнером, ви всі знаєте про Сталкера, про козаків. І він завжди казав, що я створюю нові світи. Написав зраночку 22 числа, перед тим, як ішов на вихід. Написав, що він йде, що мене обіймає. Я написала йому, що дуже люблю його і чекаю, коли він повернеться і відповість мені. Тобто він завжди писав, що я скоро буду. І я чекала, що він повернеться і відповість. Я б сказала, що я досі його чекаю.
Yeah. This, like I said, I just want the audience, you guys that watch these videos that I talk about, to like bear in mind that these are human beings, and very few of them get agency when forced into these conflicts. It's true of the Russian forces as much as the Ukrainian, right? It's not clear on whether he was a volunteer or a draftee. Just as it's not clear that, again, the Russians, right, how big is the difference between a volunteer Russian mobilized, troop, a conscript, a contract soldier who is desperate for money, a Wagner prisoner trying to get freedom, a Ukrainian who was, mobilized in the initial invasion, a Ukrainian who signed up because of how badly their country needed them. Just understand that good and bad, it doesn't mean as much to the facts on the ground. It doesn't mean as much to the people that fight these wars. I'm not sure this is making any sense, but moral righteousness doesn't change the fact that countries lose. Both countries lose in many ways when they engage in these sort of wars. And they lose a lot more than they realize. Especially, like we said, when you have people who can and should lead productive lives in peace. That's all I got. Thanks as always. I'll see you guys in the next one.